the key with many of these technologies is that there's many chemistries. There's many different chemistries a battery can have. And so therefore, actually building batteries with cobalt isn't that hard. If we could get cobalt that was sustainable, that didn't involve child labour, then we wouldn't be looking to use an alternative. So one of the primary challenges internally, especially for the Congo, is to ensure that it can clean up its own industry and do it in a much better way for the whole of the population. And that can be a challenge, of course. It's not easy to fix these things overnight. But if they don't fix them, then the reality will be that we'll find a new way of doing it. There'll be a disruption to a battery technology. We'll build these batteries with different mixes of metals and different mixes of materials. So the same is true whether it be a nickel ion battery or whether it be other chemistries. If we don't manage those supply chains properly, or alternatively we can't supply sufficiently, then the technologists will turn their mind to solve the problem as to how differently can we do this, what other materials can we use. And that's one is about the supply of materials, and then secondarily, much more importantly today than it has been in the past, is the ethical supply of those materials, of the sustainable supply of those materials. So those things are far more important in 2020 than they were in 2000, way more important in 2020 than they were in 1980. So the reality is the world has changed, and thank goodness. But at the same time, one of the things that's happened with the electrification of vehicles, and so therefore, while cobalt was an issue while we were playing with our mobile phones, it's become a much more significant issue because it's now about clean technology. Mobile phones were never about clean technology. Now motor cars are about clean tech, and so therefore, quite rightly, there's more scrutiny on the source of those materials. And every year that goes by from here on in, that will simply become more true. We will continue to look at more sustainable solutions because the world's largest companies, with the exception of Saudi Aramco, are Apple and Amazon and Google and Microsoft, and they rely on individual customers for their power base. They rely on individual customers for their revenue. And those individual customers, for the most part, are good people. And for the most part, would like to think that they are doing things that will make the planet better. And so for the most part, social media will always naturally drive better outcomes. Occasionally we'll see really bad outcomes when the trolls get out there and cause havoc, but they won't. And the good people of the planet will always, in the end, win out. And consumer democracies and social media are going to allow that to happen more and more, and make it more possible for everybody to have a voice, regardless of whether you're in Australia or in Ghana. And I think that's terrific. That's an amazing outcome, and it's just getting better from here, as long as we don't wreck the planet before that happens.